Welcome back to another episode of Murder, Mysteries, and More. My name's Kaylee.
My name is Desi.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell next to the subscribe button to turn on post notifications. Before we get into this case, we always encourage those who have useful information for any unsolved case to please report it to your local police and sheriff department. This video is not recommended for persons under the age of 18 years old. This video will contain graphic details and difficult topics. If you cannot handle this or you are under the age of 18 years old, please click off now.
Miya Marcano was a young 19-year-old woman who had her whole life ahead of her. Unfortunately, due to some sick person, her life was tragically cut short. Her family and friends absolutely adored her, and she had dreams to become an orthopedic surgeon one day. September 24th, 2021, Miya was supposed to board a plane from Orlando, Florida, and fly to Fort Lauderdale to see her dad. But that never happened. Today, we will be telling the story of what happened to Miya Marcano.
Miya Marcano, she was born on April 26, 2002 in Pembroke Pines, Florida. Miya was close to her parents, Marlin Marcano and Suling Marcano. Both of her parents were divorced. Her father lived in Fort Lauderdale, and Marlin Jr., nicknamed Munchie, is Miya's older brother, whom she had always been close to. Miya is a family-oriented, kind-spirited individual that everyone adored. She had gorgeous greenish-gray eyes. Miya is described as a Jane of all trades because she did so much. Miya competed in modeling, pageants, dancing, horseback riding, and she loved to travel. She had a very bubbly, positive attitude. She moved to Orlando for school. Her dream was to obtain a degree from UCF College, and for her sophomore year of college in 2021, she transferred to Valencia University to pursue a degree in sports medicine. Her end goal was to become an orthopedic surgeon. Her father helped her move into the Arden Villas apartments for the school year. Her father, like any father should, installed locks to her apartment windows. He told her to carry mace for self-defense purposes.
Sadly, even though her father did everything to ensure his daughter was safe, that ended up not being the case for Miya. Before we dive into what happened, I will explain what her work situation was like. It is very important to take note of it in this case specifically. Miya did work in the leasing office at her apartment complex, the Arden Villas, in June 2021. Arden Villas was owned by Prius Management Company. She generally enjoyed working in the leasing office, however, it did require some late nights and weekends working alone. Unfortunately, one of Miya's coworkers gave off very creepy stalkerish vibes. He was a major red flag. This coworker was Armando Cavero. Armando was interested in Miya, but she was obviously not interested in him. She rejected him multiple times, but he would not stop trying. He has sent her multiple creepy, off-putting text messages. For example, quote, "I know I come off as strong and crazy, but I was literally feeling you drifting away. It bothered me because our bond is so natural. Like what we had is not common," end quote. He sent her messages like these repeatedly, and one time he mentioned he wanted to give her his life savings because he was so in love with her. Then proceeded to cash her $600. What a creeper.
Miya sent the money back, obviously, as this was not a good idea. Note, Miya made sure others knew what was going on, and she did everything she could. Her co-workers, friends, and family were all made aware of the red flags that this guy showed. And we also want to mention that if any of you guys feel like somebody is acting strange or creepy and making you feel uncomfortable, please report it because it is not okay. Friday, September 24, 2021, 19-year-old Miya was supposed to catch a flight to Fort Lauderdale. She was going to visit her family, including her dad that lived in Fort Lauderdale. And she also was going to be a part of the Miami Carnival. She had been a part of the carnival for many years. Miya did have to book a later flight because that same day she had to work till 5 p.m. And security footage does show that she made it to work that day and was working. The apartment security footage also shows her walking back to her apartment after her shift ended. And this was the last time she was seen. At 9:25 p.m. that night, Miya stopped replying to her family text messages. And when her mom discovered that she did not board the flight, she knew instantly that something was up. So immediately she called 911 and requested that the Orange County Sheriff Department would do a wellness check. At 9:43 p.m., a sheriff was dispatched to Arden Villas, and at 10:02, the wellness check was performed.
Miya was a missing person, and the details that were at her apartment should have concerned the deputy enough to treat her apartment as a crime scene. First of all, she was missing, and her apartment raised some big red flags that even a normal person would be concerned about. No one answered the door, and the deputy was tempted to just leave. Miya's mom begged on the phone to wait until her roommate returned. Her roommate fortunately showed up very quickly and let him in. The first red flag at the scene was that the bedroom door was locked and he went around the back window. It's worth noting that Miya's dad put locks on her windows and she always kept it locked, so the deputy shouldn't have been able to open it. Her roommate also vouched and said that the window was, of course, always locked. The deputy had her roommate in her room, and the roommate saw multiple red flags herself, such as a white bookshelf had been propped against her bedroom door. Her bedroom was also messy, and there was a bloody stained pillow, a box cutter, broken jewelry, and her teddy bear that she always takes with her was still at the apartment. He did make an incident report, but left the scene, and he failed to tape her apartment up. It was clear as day that this was a crime scene, and he also never notified the criminal investigation unit, like, seriously, dude.
Yep, he definitely did not do a good job. In the first few hours of her disappearance, Miya was considered a voluntary missing person, despite everything that this deputy just saw. 12:35 p.m., about 2 hours after, Deputy Polino, a security guard from Arden Village, tells the deputy that he should have been more concerned. Polino just brushed it off like it was nothing. The security guard said he found tape with fingerprints and attempted to hand over the evidence to the deputy without interacting with the tape, and this would be crucial evidence, but Paulino said nope, just hang on to them. And I want to mention that every piece of evidence is important. It should be handed over to authorities. The deputy also never mentioned this evidence in any of the reports, which is not right. And according to the security guard, he said that the deputy did not give a fuck about her disappearance because she was not elderly or disabled. But I want to emphasize that no matter the age of the person, disabled or not, no matter the race of every missing person, they're all important. Miya's disappearance should have been taken way more seriously by the deputy, and it angers me. However, Miya's family weren't just going to sit there and do nothing. They were going to do something about it no matter what. And props to her parents for fighting for what's right.
During the middle of the night, her family members packed up their cars and headed to Orange County. Miya's mom still resided in St. Thomas. She caught the soonest flight and arrived on the 25th. Miya's aunt Simone was the first person at the scene. Simone had a very creepy interaction with Armando, the guy who was obsessed with Miya, of course. Armando approached her, and Simone did not know this guy, and she asked him, "Hey, who are you?" Armando explained that he's the maintenance guy. "I heard you were looking for me." As soon as Miya's father arrived, he instantly felt sick to his stomach, like something was seriously wrong. He knew something bad had happened, and it was likely Armando was responsible for whatever happened. Armando did not live at Arden Villas himself and shouldn't have been there at 3:50 a.m. in the morning. Even if he did claim to be a maintenance guy, it's not necessary. Nobody needs maintenance that late. 3:50, Armando had visible injuries to his hand and face. 3:52 a.m., Marlin calls 911 and asks them to research her entire apartment and more thoroughly this time. Paulina shows up once again and still doesn't give a shit. Paulino questions Armando, which he confesses he was interested in Miya at one point. He claimed that they became friends and he last saw Miya around 3 p.m. while they were at work. He did not give any more details and claimed he did not know anything else.
Her family mentioned that he had a screwdriver, a mysterious blanket like Mia's, and a phone in the back of his car. Paulino said thank you and that's it. He did not question Armando any further. On a video camera footage, Mia's family and Armando had a very heated argument. Paulino just stood there. In the video, you can see Armando on the phone with a witness named Toddy. None of Mia's friends or her roommate knows who this Toddy person is. You can also hear Mia's Aunt Simone bringing up creepy, obsessive text messages that Armando sent to Miya. Armando tries to make up excuses and say, oh, it isn't like that. And some context clues for the Toddy part of the beginning of the video. So Armando told the deputy that he came back to Arden Villas' apartment because he heard from Toddy that she was missing. And Paulino just let Armando leave. And Mia's family knew that there had to be more to the story, so they followed him. And what they saw was alarming. 8:47 a.m. on September 25th, Castleberry officers responded to a call from the family. The family stated that they saw him carrying blue rubber gloves, a backpack, and a pink blanket that looked like the one that Miya owned. And officers would have to wait to get a warrant in order to search his apartment. Armando, for the time being, did agree for a family member to take a look.
The report states that Armando allowed the search for an unknown male family member with the presence of a police officer to search his residence, just to ensure Miya nor her blanket were inside that residence. They found nothing. 11:22 a.m. that same day, a different deputy responded to Miya's apartment. The good news is, instead of Deputy Paulino, they got a different officer, and this officer was completely wonderful. Miya's family made him aware of what was happening, and he took the case very seriously. Within 2 hours, he alerted the Criminal Investigation Division, which now launched a proper investigation into her disappearance. The new officer and the investigators of this case were well aware of Armando's text and knew he was a likely suspect. 5:45 p.m. that evening, they submitted a search warrant application to search Armando's place again, but more thoroughly. They had to wait until the following day to get approval from the judge. That afternoon, her apartment was taped and blocked off. Any evidence found in her apartment was taken to be further inspected. It was pretty clear that he was responsible. Sunday the 26th, Orange County Sheriff Department went to search the apartment, but Armando was gone. It was unclear whether they found any evidence, though.
Investigators went back to her apartment to search around the wooded areas. Loved ones and friends gathered outside Mia's apartment and prayed. They were hoping that Miya was still out there. Every single night, they held a vigil outside of her apartment, hoping that it would bring her home and to bring more awareness to her disappearance. On the 26th, detectives interviewed two people that were close to Miya. Both claimed that Armando was interested in her, and Miya obviously wasn't. Her parents posted a $15,000 award for any information, and her parents did believe that he was guilty and that he did something awful to her. September 27th, 911 call reported a body that was found by an employee. The body was identified as Armando's. Sheriff John Mina hosted a conference this day and emphasized how important it was to find Miya. Also during the conference, they found that there was another warrant for Armando, and it wasn't just for the search warrant for the investigation for the murder, but also for robbery. During the investigation, detectives discovered that he entered Mia's apartment twice on the afternoon that she disappeared, once at 2:14 p.m. and once at 4:30 p.m. Miya got off work at 5 p.m. So investigators suspected he was waiting for Miya to get off work. They believe once she got off work and opened up her apartment, he attacked her and murdered her.
They believe that between 5:15 p.m. and 5:52 p.m., he took her body through the window and placed it in the trunk and went home. However, at 7:01 p.m., a fake maintenance request was made for her apartment. This would ensure he would have an alibi and excuse that he was working, therefore clearing him up. 7:11 p.m., he returned to Arden Villas for 30 minutes. 9:30 p.m., he sent a final text message before committing suicide. Unfortunately, due to him taking the easy way out, her family will never get the justice they so deserve. September 28th, Mia's Facebook account showed she was in Orlando. It gave her family a false sense of hope that she could be still alive. Armando's phone was taken in for further investigation. October 2nd, 2021, Mia's body was found. Armando's phone pinged at the Timberscon apartments the night she went missing in southwest Orlando. This area is known to be pretty dangerous. They started the search around the area, and at 10:45 a.m., her body was found in fourth stage decomposition, completely destroyed by the elements. The medical examiner was not able to determine the exact cause of her death due to the decay. Authorities were convinced this was Miya because of the charm necklace with her name on it, as she always wore this, and it was also found in her body.
She was found with duct tape around her ankles, wrists, arms, head, and neck. This was the same tape Armando had. Final vigil was held in her honor. It was absolutely heartbreaking. Armando does have a criminal history, and none of the residents were aware of this. 13 years before 19-year-old Miya was murdered, so in 2013, he was arrested for making a makeshift bomb as a prank at a knuckle, which is just absolutely horrible, and he should have never been hired. Luckily, no one was harmed, and in March 2021, another Florida woman also experienced violent issues with this man. After she rejected him, he threw a dumbbell at her window. He should have never been hired. Fortunately, this lady was okay. 3 weeks later, after her body was found at Arden Villas, a wrongful death lawsuit was filed against them due to inadequate security measures, including not having security cameras that actually worked when she went missing. The ones that they had were broken. Her family states if they were aware of his criminal history, they would have never allowed Miya to live there. Miya did tell management multiple times she felt uncomfortable with his obsessive behavior, and they didn't do a single fucking thing. This manager also did not send her family any condolences, even though she worked with Miya and she was a resident there. They never were like sorry for your loss or anything like that. They did nothing. On October 14th, a funeral service was held where hundreds would gather.
The Miya Marcano Foundation was founded in honor of her. It was founded to give more awareness on what to do when a person goes missing and provide more resources to families of missing people. Hold first responders accountable for the handling of missing persons and advocate for legal changes that protect students, women, and children better. Miya's law was also passed and signed by DeSantis in 2022. The law is to strengthen residential safety measures. This includes increased background check for employees of rental companies. It also allows landlords to disqualify any applicant who's been found guilty of certain offenses, including violence and disregard for safety. Also includes out-of-state applicants who have been found guilty of such crimes. It also requires the landlords to have key log for all keys for each residential unit, and requires landlords and maintenance to provide a 24-hour notice before entering a residential unit.
It was good that was passed.
Yeah.
So I found one Reddit post. It's by T Matic Body of missing woman Miya Marcano was found. And Black and Blue Girl Talk says, so glad they found her. Her poor parents, she was supposed to be flying home on the night she was taken. I can't imagine.
Honey Blossom 29. It's a terrible thing to say, but I was expecting this outcome. I'm glad they found her, and now her family and friends will be able to have a funeral and grave properly. And Caballero, he took the easy way out. Typical coward.
Yeah, he was a coward.
Mm-hmm.
I make fish drown. I was so afraid she'd never be found because he was dead, so they wouldn't be able to get it out of him. At least this can some semblance of peace to her family. Yeah.
K Bubbles. She went home to her apartment, to her space, and had her peace, safety, and life taken away by someone who couldn't handle rejection. Nobody deserves this.
Yep, some people cannot handle rejection and
Nope.
they need to get over themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then Keta Watt 317, she was just trying hard to live her damn life. I swear I hate animals like that, coward.
Zombified vegan. The prime suspect is someone who was harassing her for months and then killed himself shortly after she went missing. We have to get to the point where we take people behaving like him seriously and not write it off as romantic advances or whatever.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly built. This is good. They probably had to wait for their search warrant for the perp's phone to come through and then for the phone company to provide data location data. Then they looked anonymous trips and bought a cadaver dog with them while they retraced the stuff. Lady V First Class, Rip Mia, saying peace and white light to those who left behind. You are in our hearts forever.
Partial cremation.
That's an interesting name.
Partial cremation. I'm thankful that her parents have some closure. It's sad that this was the outcome. Very sad.
Yeah, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Mia was only 19 years old when her life was cut short. Mia was supposed to graduate college and become an orthopedic surgeon. Her family and loved ones miss her very much. Mia should be remembered for whom she was and not just for the end of her life. Her story serves as a reminder that obsessive stalking should not be taken lightly. The Mia Foundation and law serves for the greater good in protecting vulnerable persons.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Murders, Mysteries, and More. Remember, always keep your eyes open and keep pushing for changes to ensure proper justice.